Good morning. If you are new to Whatnot or just getting started or have been on it for a little while but aren't really seeing traction, this video is probably going to be for you. I'm basically going to take you guys through a day with me on a Tuesday of sourcing, shipping, prepping for a show, all the things I kind of do on a Tuesday, which is a really busy day. And I'm going to sprinkle in some little tidbits about Whatnot, little tips and tricks, just things to remember, something to be encouraging, just things I kind of wish I knew when I was getting started to kind of help you guys along your journey. These are just great, helpful reminders. So I'm going to take you guys with me on a source, but I'm not going to be actually sourcing with you per se. I'm going to just do my normal Tuesday thing where I get in my car, first things first, checking that off of the list. It's freezing. It is 27 degrees right now, and there is actually snow on the ground. So I'm in the car, check off the list, and then I'm going to drive to our first location, which is the Goodwill outlet bins here locally to me. Then I'm going to go across the water and go to the other Goodwill outlet bins, as well as grab some boxes because I really need some boxes right now. What I'm going to do throughout that process is just kind of pop in from time to time and share a couple little tips with you. I know a lot of you guys are getting into Whatnot for the first time, and I just want to share with you some things that I kind of wish I knew when I was getting started, or just things that I think are really encouraging to kind of help push you forward in your journey, because I know that it can be a little daunting, not only getting started, but once you get started, kind of the pushback you can receive because it's new and you're starting kind of over on a platform. You don't have a following. You've never really sold there before. You don't exactly understand the dynamics of it per se. Maybe you've bought, but not really ever sold. And so I want to talk you through just a few of the things I think are really important to remember as we're kicking off the new year and you are either starting or continuing your journey on Whatnot, and things that I just think are helpful to remind you of. Then we'll come back home and we'll start sorting for the show today. We're going to finish packing up orders and just doing all the things I do on a Tuesday. So I'm going to basically take you guys along with me start to finish of a Tuesday. Let's go ahead and get to it. It's going to be a cold start to the drive. I'm going to go grab some coffee and then we will get on our way to our first location. They open up in about 10 minutes. So we do need to kind of hurry up. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Absolutely. What's going on? Why are they closed? There's a sign on the door. Delayed opening. Delayed opening due to inclement weather. We are now opening at 10 a.m. Well, damn. That's so annoying. All right. Well, we'll just go ahead and drive down to the other outlet, I guess. That's so frustrating, but that's how it goes around here. We do not know how to have snow. Like, Virginia doesn't know how to snow very well. Like, it is constantly like this, which is why I don't like inclement weather, snow being inclement weather. I don't know if you guys could see on the way here how clear the roads were, how genuinely unicy and clear, not only the roads, but the ground is. Like, inclement weather, like, look at their parking lot. Their parking lot doesn't even have snow in it. So it's wild to me. Again, like I said, school was canceled today as well, and now this. So it's just fun. This is what happens here in Virginia when it snows. Whatever. All right, let's go ahead and head down to the other bins, and we'll start there, and then we'll end here. We'll come back here when they open, I guess, after the inclement weather clears up. Absolutely insane. All right, well, I guess while I'm sitting here at this red light, maybe we'll do our first tip here in the car. I thought we would wait till we got into the bins to do our first tip, but let's go ahead and start off with a really simple one. This is like basic bare bones tip that I think that even people who have been selling for a long time might need to take this tip into consideration, which is being mindful of the username that you pick, making sure that your name is searchable, making sure that you aren't using too many underscores or hyphens or dots or whatever it is in your name that can throw people off, misspellings, using like numbers as letters, things like that can be very confusing when you're trying to build your following and tell people where to find you. So for me, my name is Resell Maven. again, there's only really one way to spell that, and it's all one word, and it's pretty searchable. I see a lot of people who have, like I said, numbers as letters in their name. That can be really hard to have to explain to people. Words that aren't real words that you've kind of made up. A lot of underscores can be kind of challenging, because say you're trying to type in the person's name that you know of, but you have to remember where the underscores also go. That can be challenging. So just keeping in mind that you want to have a username that is easily searchable and is recognizable to people. You want it to be both catchy and true to what it is that you're representing for yourself on the platform. So just keep that in mind as you guys are creating those usernames and getting started. Make sure it is a good, searchable, quality name. I think that is a great first tip to start us off. Wonder if they have a delay too. Yeah, there's people in their car. Yeah, so they made it. Yep, so they made it this way too, both sides, because everyone's sitting in their car. So let's see, we have 15 minutes. I think we're gonna come back. I definitely think it's more worthwhile for me to go ahead and just hit up a thrift store. There's one right here around the corner I like to go to. This is the one that is heck ton overpriced now. I can hardly buy any books, and they're also not really putting a lot of books out at the moment. But I think that it's more worth the 15 plus minutes that we have to go do that than try to sit there. So while there are a ton of books here and it looks amazing, a lot of these books are just been here forever and they just aren't really books that I sell. But I did find a few, so I'm going to go ahead and grab those. I think, again, there's probably some more that I would pick up. It's just the pricing, right? Like, so this one's $4. I can't buy books for $4 and make really a good profit off of them. I ended up getting a call, so I didn't end up being able to record in the DAV very much, but we did grab those 2 books and we are right back here at the Goodwill. Let's go ahead and go in to the first bins location and start digging and see what we can find. Right, so we already have a cart full of plush, which is fun. All right, now let's go over to the books. There are a ton of books and see what we can find. Off to a good start. All right, so start digging through. Basically, we create a little pile and we just try to touch all the books and pass on anything with excess wear and pick up anything that looks good enough to pick up. Disney baby board books, those tend to do decent. So this is kind of what it looks like. I'm not going to obviously take you guys through this whole process because, like I said, this isn't really a sourcing video, but this is what I'm doing. I'll show you guys what I grab afterwards, and we'll start going through some more of those tips, tricks, takeaways to help you grow your business on Whatnot. I just went through this first bin. I've got all of this, as well as this. So really good first bin, and honestly really happy with some of the adult books that have been in here. Just a little context for some of you guys, some of the things that I pick up so you can kind of see what I'm looking for when I'm selling. Looking for fun kids books. Ooh, that's so loud. You guys can hear they're dumping bins. They're about to bring some hard goods out, so I might have to take a break and go grab some hard goods at some point. But yeah, it's some really nice titles here. So let's go ahead and move on to bin 2. So done through bin 2 as well. You'll see there's some things in here you might think, well, why'd you leave that? They're bent, they're damaged. We actually got quite a good bit of stuff. And we got these little plushies, so very happy with that. I am going to head over here. They did just bring out some hard goods, so I'm going to go check that out, see if I can find anything good in there. Sometimes I like to go back through the plush because either I'll miss it or someone will have thrown something back and I'll get some goodies. So super awesome Star Wars Build-A-Bear. Just grabbed another Squishmallow. All right, let's get into our next tip. It is freezing cold out here, but we are moving. We are making it work. All right, so the next tip is going to be something that is probably one of the most important tips, which is one I think a lot of people ask me about and struggle with when they're getting started, which is how do I build a following on Whatnot? And it's honestly the same way you build a following on any platform. You just get started, you provide a good either a product, service, or personality, whatever it is you're trying to build, and people will come to you. Your people are going to find you. When it comes to building a following, obviously the first tip is going to go into that, which is making sure you have a good screen name, making sure that your profile is set up, that you have stuff in your bio, that you are being consistent in your show schedule so that you can even build that following, and that you're bringing good quality products to your auctions, right? So one of the biggest things that I did when I was building my following is I actually started going live in different categories. So I didn't start selling books on Whatnot, which is crazy because I was selling books full time when I started Whatnot. I actually didn't know that there were books on Whatnot. So I actually started selling like random stuff, garage sale items. So I was in the garage sale category. Then I was in like a storage unit style category, miscellaneous. All of this was all random stuff that wasn't even really categories back in the day that now are. And I dabbled into Disney, and I actually ended up finding my love for Disney and started sourcing very much so for Disney items and doing Disney shows, whether it was Disney pins, plush, toys, accessories, collectibles, anything Disney related, I was buying. And until that finally dried up in my area, I did that for a while. And then I found books and I was like, oh, there's a book category, and I'm looking around and I'm surrounded by books. So I actually then started selling books. But one of the best ways I can recommend building your following is dabbling in different niches. So even if you sell specifically one thing, if there are a couple other things that you sell, start dabbling in those niches as well, because you're going to get more eyes on yourself. So people might like you as a seller, they might like your pricing, they might like the product, right? And they're going to start following you. I do a lot of plush now. So as you saw, I was picking up plush and toys. So we do plush, toys, and books as our main niches right now. And I'm really happy with those as my narrowed down niches. But when I got started, like my very first show on Whatnot, it was literally titled Variety Show. And I think I had like every type of thing you could imagine that I had gone sourcing for that week at garage sales. And it was just the most random show, but it worked really well and people enjoyed my pricing and the way that I ran my show. So that's how I kind of built my following. But the main takeaway is take your time with it. Don't rush it. Don't wonder why you're getting started and no one's in your show. It's very normal to go live and have just a handful of people in your show. And if you're doing something right, they'll stick around and keep coming back. And if you're doing something wrong, they're not going to do that. So make some tweaks as you go, and that'll take us into some of our next tips we're going to be talking about here shortly. But first things first, know that everyone starts with zero, and building a following just takes some time. home, not home, but to the original Goodwill that we started today with, and they are open. The parking lot is full, so let's grab a couple of bags and head on in and see what we can find here. I'm really happy with our first stop of the day, but there is more to be found. Okay, so we absolutely cleaned up here. I have a cart full of books. I actually ended up getting this whole bunch of Babysitters Club books. There are a ton of Babysitters Club. I actually already have a lot of Babysitters Club, so I'm really convinced that I'm going to be able to complete like some sets. I'm pretty excited about at least some good runs of them, like 1 through something, 50 through or something like that. Also got a good bit of the mystery ones. As far as general books go, really good stuff. It's got some blend of paperback and hardback, and then I got some fun like plush. We got Wonder Pets, we've got a Love Every toy, just some really, really good stuff. Initially, I was going to do some tips in here inside of the Goodwill for you guys, but it's really busy and my hands are super dirty from digging and I am getting super hungry. So I'm actually going to go ahead and head out. I just got all of this stuff. It's so much goodies. I'm really happy. And I think that brings me to a pretty decent topic for Whatnot, which is your cost of goods and your average sales price. And one of the things I really like to remind people is that you are not going to typically make the same type of money on Whatnot as you will on other selling platforms like eBay. Maybe Mercari, Posh, whatever else you can sell on, you're going to have somewhat similar cost structure. But as far as eBay goes, which is where you're typically going to get your top dollar, you really aren't going to be getting that type of profit on these items. So keep that in mind when you're sourcing for Whatnot shows, that you need to be buying items at a price that is actually reasonable. Your cost of goods needs to be reasonable. You need to be able to recognize that while this plush might sell for $15 on eBay, you might only get $8 or $10 on Whatnot. Now that is obviously a very broad example, but that's just from experience, something I've noticed and something to really keep in mind. So, as you guys know, I tend to buy my books for 25 and 50 cents each from the bins here, and I sell them with an idea that I'm going to be getting at least, $2 to $3 per book and then up. So what I like to do is really be mindful when I'm outsourcing of how much money I'm making on these platforms in return. So whether you're sourcing from a thrift store, the bins, yard sales, libraries, storage units, whatever it is that your sourcing method is, just keep in mind that when you bring those items to Whatnot, people buying on Whatnot tend to be looking for a good deal. They're not looking to spend retail or the price that they could get it on eBay. They're coming in for the experience of the live auction and the community, as well as to get a good deal. So that is why when the platform started, it had a lot of $1 starts as its pull, because people were like, $1 starts, what a great deal. Now, obviously you don't need to do $1 starts. I don't even do $1 starts. I don't think it's the best business model on Whatnot, because a lot of your items will sell for $1. But just keep that in mind when you're outsourcing, that this is not eBay, and this is going to be a platform that you're going to have to learn how much do your items sell for? How much can you typically get for certain items? Some things are going to sell better, some things are going to sell worse. You also have to keep in mind shipping. Is this something you want to ship? Is this something that Whatnot can calculate the shipping on correctly? Are you going to have overages? And that's a whole nother topic we can get into, but just being really mindful of how this platform works and really learning what the average sales cost is and what the average buy cost needs to be for you to make a profit and to not have yourself selling items and not actually making money back in return. This is everything that we got in our 2 trips, and I am very happy with that. I've got this whole bag of books here and here. We've got plush, we've got more plush in the back, and then 2 more full bags of books here. So really, really great sourcing day, very exciting stuff. I just wanted to say one more thing on the price structure is that just keep in mind that while you need to make sure that your prices are reasonable for your margins and for your profits, you do need to make sure that they are reasonable for the buyer, because unreasonable prices, I feel like, is one of the biggest reasons why I see people not making sales on Whatnot. I'll go into someone's show and their pricing is so astronomical that it just doesn't make sense, because no one's going to pay for those prices when there are 5 other sellers offering the same quality product for much, much less. So keep in mind when you are buying things that you really need to be mindful of how much you are actually planning on selling that for, and if it will actually sell for that much. we have officially made it back into the office, and I pulled the 4 bags of books that we got today in. I wanted to give you guys a little tip here. This is kind of random, but if you ever get these books that have red X's on them, there is a little store near me. This one has like a permanent marker X on it, but there's a store near me and they do a lot of free books, and they always just put these red X's, and you can take as many books as you really want. So I go there quite often just to like see what they have in there. And every now and again they have stuff for like reselling. So I like to grab them, but they have these red X's. So here's all you need. This is a little ripped up, but it's a magic eraser. This is really the key to getting, it's called a wax pen off, as well as this permanent marker. So I'll go ahead and show you that here. It's super easy, but get yourself magic erasers. I think it's one of the things you really need if you're selling books. Also, to be honest, if you're selling really anything, magic erasers work really well on a lot of things. And then as far as cleaning goes, I'll also give you this tip here. This is my tip for cleaning plush. This is my very highly recommended plush cleaner. It's called Folex Instant Carpet Spot Remover. This is a 32-ounce bottle. I believe this bottle is like $8 or maybe less. It's really affordable. It's huge. It comes in this big bottle, and basically that and just like a white paper towel of some sort or whatever your cleaning cloth is of choice does amazing on plush. So when you're looking for like little tools to add into your trade for plush and books, magic erasers and that Folex Instant Spot Remover is clutch. I use them all the time. So I'll just go ahead and show you kind of like how it works here. So basically you have your red X and you just literally wipe it away. And it goes on there, and now the X is gone. So same thing here. I don't know why they were throwing away the Titanic books, but I guess they didn't want them in their store anymore. And so I'll take them. I love selling Titanic stuff. But yeah, it comes off really easily. Here's another example. It's kind of hard because I'm holding the phone, so I can't get as much pressure. But if I use my elbow here, I'll show you guys. Again, it comes off so easy. And you can kind of see these are glossy covers. The glossy covers are going to obviously remove most things just so much better than something like this. It's like a paper cover. So here's kind of example. This is kind of a paperish cover. So what's going to happen here is I have a lot of red on my magic eraser. If I start scrubbing this, it's going to put red all over it. So what I like to do is sometimes just rip a little piece off. So I'll just kind of like rip some of that off. And now I have this white on the other side. Get a little there. Kind of comes off, and then once I get a good red spot, I try to find like another little corner so I'm not continuing to rub the red in. And this was actually coming off really well. Let's go this little corner here. And yeah, I mean, that came off great. Now, this is something I'm going to sell somewhere else. I don't really sell this kind of stuff on Whatnot, but it's worth a little bit of money. And now for this one's going to take a little bit more love, but this one does kind of have a little bit of a glossy cover too. But let's go ahead and see if we can get this off just with the magic eraser. And see how when it gets dark, I'm just kind of moving it around so I don't keep smearing the black. It's kind of the key. So if you're getting some smearing, you need to make sure that you're utilizing all the edges. Now, if you knew there was an X there and you look absolutely close enough, you can maybe still see it. But unless you knew that was there, it's going to be pretty good. And this is a nice little mass market copy of Salem's Lot. And I just feel like that's another really great tip to keep in mind, which is like realize what's around you. Look around you, go to places like your thrift stores or your libraries or churches and just see if they offer any sort of free book service or where they have lots of overflowing books that they want to get rid of. We have a church locally. It is the biggest book sale that we have, and it's once a year, and it's a 4-day sale, and it is absolutely massive, the amount of books that they bring out, and it's just all from church congregations. So over the course of a year, they all collect all their books, and then they have this one big sale, and they make so much money that gets to go to their congregation. And so booksalefinder.com is a really good one to see local book sales. And then also just Google and Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, just kind of get out there and see what other places are around you to source other than just thrift stores, because sometimes you can get free inventory that you can turn into cash, and that's the best. Free inventory is the best inventory. So now I am sitting on the ground with all of the books, and I'm going to start going through these and start sorting out what I'm going to put into tonight's show and what I'm going to put to the side to save for another show. All right, I went ahead and selected all of the inventory that I want to show in tonight's show. I have a selection of chapter and non-chapter books, and I just wanted to go ahead and pop in and give you guys another friendly reminder when you are beginning to sell on this platform, which is that while it is a live auction platform and you do need to curate inventory for your live shows, you do also want to remember that you have a couple other places that you can sell on the platform that don't require you to physically show the products live. So the first and simplest one is your buy it now. That's going to be available in every show that you have. Someone can see what's in your auction section as well as your buy it now. And I always like to have stuff in the buy it now, even if it's just a handful of items. Throw some things in there so that when people click on it, it's not completely empty. Maybe even if you have 5 or 10 items that are just kind of random items you've thrown in there, it increases your chances for a sale, and maybe they see something they really like in the buy it now and they purchase it, and that'll encourage them to buy something within your show and your live auction as well. So definitely utilize the buy it now. And then the other one that I think is really underrated that a lot of people glance over is your marketplace. Now you can list items simultaneously in your buy it now and on your marketplace, which is great. So someone could buy it within a show and someone could buy it outside of a show when you're not even live, just like a stagnant marketplace like Facebook or eBay, right? So I definitely recommend doing that. That is basically going to be when you're making your listing, you are just toggling off that switch that says reserve for live. You're just toggling it off. So when you're making your listing, look at everything as you're scrolling down. There'll be a section for reserve for live. Toggle that off and it'll go into your marketplace as well. If you don't want to sell things when you're not live, you can definitely keep that toggled on, and you can only make sales when you are live. But if you want to utilize some form of a stagnant marketplace where people can purchase things even when you're not on, definitely utilize that marketplace. Everything is final set up. This is what it looks like when I get ready to go live. I've got all my chapter and non-chapter books right here in front of this bookshelf. The only thing I still need to do is take pictures of my actual bookshelves, but that is the new inventory that I will basically use as an advertisement on my preview and my thumbnail to get people to come into my show so that they can see, wow, she's got a ton of new books for us to go through, basically. Another tip here for you guys is considering the time of the day that you go live. While anyone can go live at any time during the day, I do think that there are some general sweet spots for sales. When you start to think about what time of the day most people in the country are on their phone, then you're going to start realizing those are going to be the times of days where you're likely going to have more eyes on your products and more eyes in your show, which means a higher likelihood of making more sales in your show. So for me, I'm on the East Coast. I'm located in Virginia. And so I know that I have to consider that there are people on the West Coast. So if I went live at, let's say, 9 a.m., there are people who there's no way they're making it into my show because it's literally 6 o'clock in the morning and I'm cutting out a huge market of my audience. Now, will there still be people on my show? Absolutely. But I think that going live later in the afternoons is better for most people. I definitely think there's a benefit in going live at different times in your first few shows and kind of trying to figure out what sticks. I personally feel that as on the East Coast, I find that that 3 p.m. to about 7 or 8 p.m. is a really sweet spot to go live. I think a lot of people are winding down for the day, or they are getting off of work or whatever it might be, and they are able to actually be on their phones and enjoy some alone time or some quiet time shopping and browsing and hanging out. So I definitely believe that there are some sweet spots. So while you can go live at any time, play around and test the different times that you may want to go live, as well as different days of the week, until you find a day and a time that work really, really well for you. And then if it's possible, continue to use that day and time every week as your set show so that people know exactly what time they can come and find you on the app. Another thing that you really want to get in the habit of doing is cloning over the items from your past shows into your future shows. So if you click on the little profile up there in the corner, this little 3 dots in the corner, and then click down there on shows, all of your shows are going to pop up from the most current coming up to date. And then if you scroll down quite a bit, I've got quite a shows created, it'll start showing you, you see how they say now ended? It'll start showing you your ended shows. So I like to go to my very last ended show, as long as it's the same category, which it is. And I click this down here. You see this plus sign, view and clone items from this show. So I click on that and it'll pull up another screen and it pulls up all the items that were in that show. And what I need to do is select the show I want it to go to, which is going to be my next one, Books for All Ages. And then I'm going to just click select all, and I have to scroll down. You'll see these are all the items that I would like for them to clone over. These are things in the buy it now, as well as some of the stuff that I do for my auctions, like my shelves, right? My Dr. Seuss shelves, my storybooks, my chapter books, as well as like my auctions. And again, this is how I put these auctions in. If you've never seen this before on my channel, this is the best way for me doing books, and really any items I do, I break it up by ounceage. And then from there, I go pound by pound after you hit a pound mark. All right, and then, yeah, everything looks good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and click clone. And yes, I am sure I want to clone. Boom. And it'll pop up my show. And now when I click down here, I have all of my items in my auction, as well as a bunch of stuff listed here in my buy it now. Okay, I am shipping right now and I'm making decent progress. I actually forgot to grab boxes. You guys might have heard me earlier say that one of the reasons we were going down across the water is to get some boxes, and I'm low on boxes right now. As you can kind of see, my corner's pretty empty. But I did as much as I could, kind of packing with what I had, poly bags and things like that. This actually brought up an interesting little point I wanted to bring up to you guys. It's a two-parter. So the first thing is I actually just declined a cancellation request. And you might be saying, whoa, why'd you decline a cancellation request? Well, it's because on Whatnot, if a buyer wants to cancel an order, they have to ask for permission. They have to say, hey, I bid on this on accident, or my kid bid on this, or I realized that I already had this book. Is there any way, you could cancel this order, whatever it might be? And sometimes it's for reasons like just that don't make any sense. Sometimes people will put nothing really as a reason, and I will not accept those cancellations. And so what ended up happening was somebody, I guess, bought something from me, but it was a pile of books. It wasn't just one book, it was a bundle of books. And then I went to go, pack the order, and I noticed I have a cancellation request pending. And the reason basically just said, I changed my mind, essentially. I think it was, decided I didn't want, is what I think it actually said. And I canceled it. I said no. I was like, no, I'm not accepting that request for cancellation. I put in work. You came in, you bought books from me, and I took time to put that bundle together. And if you decided you didn't want it, then you shouldn't have bought it. But you went through the process of making the bundle and purchasing the bundle just for you 30 minutes later to ask to cancel it. So just keep that in mind. You do have the right to refuse cancellations. You have the right to even just say in your show, look, I don't accept cancellations for any reason. So please bid responsibly. That's actually a big part of Whatnot's kind of view on sellers, which I really like, is they give us a lot of power in the sense of like, Whatnot doesn't accept returns. And that's another point I wanted to bring up, is if somebody messaged me and said, hey, I don't like this, I want to return it, there's no way for them to really do that. Now, in very special selected circumstances, Whatnot will honor returns, but Whatnot will take care of that with the buyer. So if the buyer has some sort of issue, Whatnot will handle that within the buyer and almost will never even tell you. You don't have to accept cancellations, and you also don't have to worry about it dealing with returns ever. I've never had to deal with a return. Now, there's a small caveat to that. That means that with that, you are really, really responsible for good customer service. If you are not someone who typically is able to put on that customer service voice and kind of bite your teeth and grin and bear it, then it is going to be a little challenging for you when buyers do come to you and say, hey, this thing was more damaged than I thought it was, or there was a little scuff here that you didn't show on the show, or this isn't really what I thought it was going to be. And that's going to happen from time to time. It's very rare, but in my 2.5 years of doing this, I would say I've had maybe 5 to 10 people reach out with a concern that required me to do customer service. Outside of that, I will say I've probably had an additional 5 to 20 people who have reached out about shipping. Again, that's as simple as just going to the UPS website, USPS website, and like literally just looking at what their tracking information says, and oftentimes just reminding them that there are sometimes delays within the postal system and that the package is likely going to arrive very shortly. If it doesn't arrive within more of a reasonable time frame, like maybe an additional couple days or a week, then please reach back out. And 100% of the time, I have never had somebody reach back out and go, it just didn't arrive. I take that back. The other day had one person, it had been a month, and she was like, I still have not received my package. And I understood why she hadn't gotten it. She lives in Guam, so she's not actually within the continental US, and it was a large package. And I think it probably got held up at customs or something like that. So she was able to reach out to Whatnot, and Whatnot took care of that refund for her. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to get her package, but likely it will get to her at some point. So she got a refund and she will probably receive that package at some point. And if not, all is well, right? So other than that though, you're never really gonna have too many issues, but you do need to be prepared to do customer service. There's a lot of daily customer service from people who aren't even buyers. So keep that in mind. You're gonna have questions coming into your messages. You need to be responsive. That is part of creating a brand and being professional and creating trust and loyalty. So going all the way back to the beginning when we were talking about building a following, that is one big way to build a following, is creating a level of trust within your circle. If the buyers and viewers in your show are able to look at your reviews and people are able to give testimonials within your show, like, yes, this person is great. Her product's always amazing. Her prices are wonderful. Shipping is awesome. Like, I love her shows. Those are great verbal testimonials that are going to encourage other buyers to actually jump in and make a purchase with you. So make sure you are killing it on that customer service end, and you aren't just letting people hang with their questions and sometimes concerns. All right, I am done packing for the day, and I'm about to be going live here in the next, 45 minutes or so. So I just want to go ahead and finish up this video and drop a couple more tips here at the end, just some things to think of, and then sign off, and I'll catch you guys next week. One of the other things I really wanted to mention was the concept of learning the platform you sell on. Any platform that you sell on, you should learn it. You should learn all the features it has to offer so that you can maximize them and potentially maximize your profits, right? So learning things like how to do giveaways, how to set up your rewards program or your rewards tiers, how to do a raid at the end of your show, raiding into someone. Again, all of these things are going to increase your following, your trustworthiness, your personality, and just create a better show. So I have a video, I'll link it up here, for Rewards Club. It's how to set that up, how to go about utilizing that, and that's been a great addition to my show. I know I personally love the rewards program that Whatnot created. I do giveaways in every show. I'll go ahead and show you real quick how you guys enter a giveaway. I don't know if I've shown that lately, so I'll go ahead and insert here kind of how you actually go about running a giveaway or setting up a giveaway. So to get giveaways in, we just want to add in, so we see we don't have anything in there. We want to add in a product, create a quality listing, and I like to use just a set photo that I have for giveaways. Thank you, crop, complete, and then put it into the category that you're selling in. And I like to say thank you, buyers, givey. And on these lately, I've just been saying host choice because you have to put something in the description. And then on Tuesdays, I always do 3 buyers giveaways. All right, so now you have your Buy It Now auction giveaway. So you want to toggle obviously over to giveaway, and here's your options. You've got followers only. These are people who follow you can only enter the giveaway, so they have to follow you. Everyone, which I never use because I would either like for you to follow me or to be a buyer. Or you can do buyers, which is what these are. So buyer appreciation, and then I always set it to the lowest amount I can, 0 to 1 ounces, publish, and confirm. And then just in case we get a raid, I do like to put in raid giveaways. I have this one that I like to use, and again, just says thank you, complete, putting it under books. And this one I'll title a givey, and I'll just say thank you, thanks, host choice again. And I'll put a couple of those in just in case we get rated a few times. And now for this one, instead of buyer appreciation, I'm going to do followers only. And same deal, low shipping profile. Regardless of what I'm doing, I can ship it out how I want. And now if I get rated, I can pin up one of these giveaways, which gives people an opportunity to be invested into my show, as well as, I just realized I spelled givey wrong. I put 2 I's and 1 V. Well, You get it. Now I have giveaways for people when I get rated that everyone can enter, and then a giveaway for my buyers at the end of the show. And then doing raids. At the end of every show, you should raid into somebody that's in the same category as you, someone who's selling the same item, so that all the people that are in your show that already enjoy those types of items can go check out other sellers. And a lot of times when you raid into those shows, they will pin up a giveaway for everyone to pop in, and it helps create community. They'll also sometimes shout you out like, hey, make sure you're following that seller, and thank you for the raid, and just creates a good sense of community. So utilize those features. I highly recommend, if you ever have a question regarding Whatnot, go to Google and type it in, because their like help forums, their little like help guides that they have are so good. Most of the time, if I have a question, I will just type it in like blah, 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 and I'll make sure I put Whatnot in there, and it will almost always pop up with pretty much the answer that I need. So check out those help forums. Go to Google if you ever have like a question, because a lot of times you're going to find the answer there. So I highly recommend, again, just learning it all. Make sure that when you're becoming a seller, you are doing the onboarding. Make sure you're going to Whatnot and just read through the page of Whatnot, read through the self-help page, read through the commonly asked questions. A lot of your answers are going to come from just looking at commonly asked questions. So it seems so simple, but when you're getting started, having that knowledge is going to create a better opportunity for you to find success on the platform. Making a schedule is another really important thing. Finding a way to know what you're doing each day when you're doing this as a part-time business, full-time, whatever it might be. What days do you go sourcing? What days do you do your shows? What days do you do your shipping? What time are you doing these things? Are you doing these in the morning, the afternoon, the evening? Is it, before you go to work in the morning? Is it when you get home from work? Is it after the kids go to bed? Is it only on the weekends? Like, figure out what your schedule is and just try to stick to it, because consistency in reselling in your business is obviously super important, but creating consistency on Whatnot is really important. I know that, again, I have a show every Tuesday and Saturday night at 4 p.m. Eastern time always, and then I have other shows randomly, but those 2 times and days people can expect to see me on the platform, and that's really important. So creating that schedule, creating a sense of consistency is really going to help build up that following. All right, and then the last thing that I want to mention is kind of the corny one, but it's the true one, which is have fun, right? Bring good quality inventory consistently to your show. Show up with a smile on your face. Leave the drama at home. No one's there to listen to your stories. Come to do a job. Treat it like a job. Treat it like a real brand that you're trying to build, and create a relationship with your buyers and your viewers. Find a way, without being dramatic, to create a true and honest and real connection with the people who are tuning in to watch your show, whether it is to support you or buy from you or just see what you have to offer in a category that they enjoy shopping in. Whatever it might be, show up to sell, show up to be professional. If you are serious about growing on the platform, and if you're serious about actually building a following of people who consistently come to your shows, then you need to treat it like a job. You need to treat it professionally. You can't just come in and willy-nilly do stuff. You need to go live, you need to press start show, and then you need to be on, okay? So don't come on and hold people up and waste people's time and kind of fumble around. Come in with a plan, execute that plan, and then end your show, and then repeat that. Whatnot is the business of repetition. I have said this a few times, and I'm going to keep saying it. It really is, you prep for your show, you do your show, and you ship the show, and then you repeat that over and over again. So once you can kind of master that and figure out what works for you by building in a schedule, buying items at a good, fair price that you can then pass off to others at a good, fair price, creating a level of trustworthiness, and just overall, like I said a few times in this video, but I'm going to repeat it again, bringing quality items that people actually want to buy, not what you think is cool, not what you want to sell. What do people want to buy? If you like to sell everything, trial and error until you find the things that stick, and then bring those consistently to your show. If they sell better on other platforms, sell them on those platforms. Maximize your profit. If you can sell items at a price that sells on Whatnot, bring them to the platform, build your audience, and it's going to be a great time. You're going to love it. If you have not gotten started, I will always encourage you guys to get started and do at least 5 shows. That is my magic number. 5 shows minimum before you decide it's not for you. You have 5 opportunities to learn, to grow, and to change for the better. And then after that 5th show, if it's not for you, then don't ever do a show again. You don't have to, but give it a good try. Get out there and at least go live and see what happens, because you might be surprised. I hope that you guys learned a few things, or I reminded you of a few things to get your head in the game and to crush 2025. Hopefully you guys are having a great start to your year. Last time I'll say it, Happy New Year. Thank you so much for watching, and until next week, have a great week. Bye.